100,000 euros. That's the buy-in. And this super high roller EPT from Monte Carlo, and we are 5-handed at the final table, and 2 of the very best in the world are going at it in Ola Shemian and Christoph Vogelsang.
Right, and this should be a cooler that ends pre-flop, but spoiler alert, we don't do pre-flop only breakdowns except for like once or twice.
It's got to be really special.
Once or twice. This isn't one of those times. This actually goes to the flop with a 40 blind effective stack, aces against queens. That is a rarity. That's probably part of why. There's definitely a bigger reason
There's
why.
something else that happens.
Runer Hansen suggested it on Twitter. If you have a suggestion for the breakdown, tweet at us, include a YouTube link.
Do those things, please. And before we get to the hand, we got to ask you, do you like the NFL? Because if you do, we got something special for you at Nitrogen Sports Poker. That's our sponsor. They're running NFL Survivor pools and a whole bunch of them from free all the way up to a 1 Bitcoin buy-in and everything in between. So you can get in there. You get to pick a team each week. You can only pick each team once, though. If they win, you continue. If they lose, you're out. Whoever's left standing at the end wins all the money. It's a great, fun thing to do. Really fun when the NFL is going on. And you can get in for the low, low price of even free. Got to use the link in the description.
Free is a very low price. Now,
Yes.
use the link in the description not only for that, but also to play poker there. Play with the poker guys. Play our exclusive tournaments. Get in there. Get you some poker.
Meanwhile, back to the final table where guys are playing for hundreds of thousands of euros. Ola Shemian has opened with aces and Vogelsang's got queens.
And goodbye. Not that Vogelsang can go broke here. Bring out the stretcher. This is gonna hurt a lot.
$840.
The 4-bet from Shemian. $840,000. Some of the on-point decisions we've seen today. Any chance that Vogelsang gets away from this?
I will lose my mind.
Yeah.
But crucially, no 5-bet from Christoph, just a call. This hand going to the flop. 1.83 million in the middle. Shemian has 1.82 behind.
I mean, it's impressive, but what flops do you get away from?
Well, certainly not this one.
I mean, we've seen some pretty stunning poker today. It's been very hard to extract value from Christoph Vogelsang. Shemian had almost exactly pot left behind before he made this bet. This for about a third of his remaining chips. And again, just a call.
Well, a diamond on the turn gives us a sweat, I guess.
And my guess is that this is more for in case Ola is bluffing, to let him keep bluffing than to give himself some room to get away from queens on a 9-high board. No amount of sorcery would surprise me at this point, though. It would still impress me. It just wouldn't surprise me. Ola can't even make a half pot bet. Or just.
All in.
Shemian shoves the turn.
The count, please.
Vogelsang wants a count.
Maybe he does it, James.
I don't see how.
Maybe he does it.
Sorry, 1 million, how much?
That's 1.1 here.
1,385,000.
Okay.
1.35, right?
1,385.
Come on.
I mean, it smells like what it is.
Right, he's played this hand like a big pocket pair. Does he play jacks or tens this same way? Wow, he did it.
He folds
He did
the
it.
queens.
Folded queens. It seems so obvious when you can see the cards, but
What the hell?
I never understand these things anymore.
What the hell just happened? Okay, let's go back to the beginning and
Okay.
see if we can figure it out.
Vecini said to always go back to the beginning.
That's correct.
You must go back to the beginning.
All right, so let's do that. So pre-flop, it's kind of a wonder that we didn't get it in pre-flop with the queens against aces, as Vogel's saying, because Shemian is Ola Shemian, and we're
Yes.
five-handed, and Shemian is the effective stack with just over 40 blinds. It's a miracle to not get it in pre-flop, although understandable from Vogelsang's perspective.
Well, for a bunch of reasons. Number one, we want to protect our range a little bit. Not that there's going to be very many hands that we can flat a 4-bet with anyway. Like, there's just not many. But Shemian's the kind of guy who's got so many pre-flop bluffs, even when he's 4-betting. I mean, go watch old episodes of the EPT. Go
Yeah.
watch 2013, 2014 episodes with Shemian in it where he's featured. He's 4-betting like constantly. So the reason not to move in is because we're afraid we're just going to full out all his air, and we want to give him a chance to get that air in against us. Like, let him move in on the flop or move in on the turn, and we can call happily, at least on safer boards.
That's
right?
the
That would be the plan.
exploitative. That's the exploitative reasons.
Right.
But we know Vogelsang is a GTO guy, so
course.
he obviously has GTO reasons as well. Now, we believe strongly that sometimes he's going to get it in with queens. It just
yeah.
depends on some GTO element, maybe what time it is on the clock or which suits of queens he has. And sometimes he'll get it in, sometimes he won't. He wants to be perfectly balanced in this way.
Yeah, it might just be like, which toe itches right now, because there's always a toe that's itching.
Is that true?
Oh my.
That sounds horrible. I'm sorry, Jonathan.
It's for the Germans, not for me.
oh,
Germans' toes itch. That's a known
Okay.
fact.
Common thing, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It
a
is
common
known.
thing.
It is known. Is known.
Yes, it is known. All right, so now we have this enormous pot going to the flop of 1.8 million, and we get this very innocuous flop that never really hits either player unless
I
maybe
mean-
Vogelsang has a set of nines.
Either one of them, in theory, could have top set, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I imagine Shemian's mostly just flatting 2 nines pre-flop.
Maybe. I mean, 40 blinds, 5-handed. He might just be going with nines.
He might
It's
be,
not crazy.
but all that said, this flop doesn't usually affect much. There is
Okay.
a potential flush draw out there. Somebody could have ace-king or ace-queen of diamonds.
Yes.
That's possible. Now, Shemian bets tiny, really tiny, 435 into 1.8 million.
Yeah.
Should Vogelsang get it in now?
It's really fine to.
Yeah.
There's only one reason not to that I'm aware of, and the reason would be clearly Vogelsang doesn't agree, but to me the only reason not to is, again, we're just going to blow away all the bluffs. Now, we can still get called by worse hands. It isn't a game theory disaster to
Jacks,
move in here.
tens could be in there.
Maybe ace-9 suited
Maybe.
sometimes. Maybe 9-10 suited. Things like that we're just going to feel obligated to call with top
Probably
pair.
not those hands very often, though, to be honest.
I agree.
Mostly
but-
jacks and tens.
I agree. But sometimes maybe Shemian's the kind of guy who could have a weird 9 here and then decide he has to call on the 2-diamond board, right?
Or we can get it in against ace king of diamonds and be in decent shape.
Decent shape, but
Yeah.
not amazing. But it's okay to decide to call here to give Shemian a chance to get the rest of it in, because it's going to be really hard for him not to move in on most turns, right?
If Shemian has like ace three of spades,
Right.
he might decide, I got to move in at this point.
I mean, either he's going to give up, which is fine, because
Yeah.
that means it's the same value as if we move in right now, or he's going to get it in and we're going to be able to snap him off and win almost always. And once in a while he's got his beat, and once in a while he gets there on the turn with a lucky card. But mostly we have so much equity normally and so much equity against his range here. It's fine just to call. There's very little to be afraid of.
well, let's just shut our mouths about everything but the river.
Okay.
Because that's what we really need to talk about
Yes,
here.
of course.
This fold.
Well, the turn.
Turn, excuse me, it's not even the river. We don't even get to the river somehow, which is amazing.
I don't understand
All
it.
right. Olushemian doesn't do anything weird in this hand. We don't even need to talk about what Olushemian
No,
does.
he's playing it totally normal.
He has aces and he plays it like aces, right?
Yeah.
Pretty normal. How does Vogelsang find a fold here? Clearly, this is the correct fold in this moment, in practice. Is it possible that this fold can be correct over time? Is it possible?
No, I mean not without extreme physical tells.
Right. It's 1.3 million to win 4 million. That's a pretty good price.
Maybe what happened was on break he saw Shemian texting his girlfriend, and Shemian said something like, "I'm just never gonna bluff Vogelsang because he always calls." And so he's sitting there and he's like, "This guy's never, and I'm never gonna get it in with jacks against him."
Oh, not
something
jacks.
like that.
Of course not jacks.
So that way we just know we're no good with queens here. Maybe when Shemian looked at his hand on the turn before he shipped it, I'm not even sure he did, but let's pretend for a second. Vogelsang caught a little piece of that action. He saw, two blades, as we like to call them.
Two blades.
Two blades.
That's
so I
pretty cool.
got to get out of here. You know.
Did you just make that up?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, that's a Stapleton thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Okay.
But besides seeing his hand, having some other extreme physical tell, knowing for sure he's not bluffing, none of these things make sense against Shemian. Shemian doesn't have very obvious tells that I'm aware of, or the rest of the high roller community is aware of. He certainly doesn't show his hand, and certainly is capable of bluffing here all the time.
The other two things that make this weird is that we are not yet in any sort of ICM situation. The next money jump is less than the buy-in. So it doesn't really matter that much if we end up going out 5th versus 4th. You know, that doesn't make a big difference at all. And if we call and win, we get to knock out one of the best players in the world, and we have such an enormous stack. We win the tournament like 40% of the time. It's crazy.
It's an incredible spot to be in. He makes the quote correct fold.
Yeah.
But I don't know that this is profitable. And yet, Vogelsang, as we've said many times on this show, is one of the best players in the world, knows what he's doing. So there's got to be something going on here. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And yet, if any student of ours, any coaching student or anything like that, said they were folding queens in this spot, I would tell them they've got to do a better job not folding strong hands, because it's an absurd fold otherwise.
This feels like a fold that you see in much lower level tournaments sometimes when people are playing scared. And we know Vogelsang is not a guy who's playing scared.
Right.
And usually he has maybe some exploitative reasons, but usually everything is weighted towards GTO for him. I don't see how distribution-wise this could be considered a GTO optimal fold.
No, this is one of the absolute best hands we ever show up with here.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we have some 9s because we felt like we were priced in position with a 9 when we got 4 bets so small. So maybe we can have a few 9s that we could play like this.
Maybe.
We can have a few quad 9s. Maybe once in a while we have aces and kings, but rarely. This is one of the very, very best hands we can ever show up with.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. It obviously turns out to be the correct fold, but
it's remarkable.
It doesn't seem to make sense to me. Now, all of this said, we are way worse than Christoph Vogelsang, and it's possible if he was willing to give up his thought process, which I'm sure he's not, he would come on the show and say this one sentence that we would be like, oh.
Well, what he'd say, I'm sure, is something like, the left 6th toe was itching, so
right.
I knew I had to fold. And that's the accent he'd probably use, even though it's not German.
That was a great German accent.
It's not German.
All right. Well, that's that.
So this one broke our brains just a little bit.
Ouch.
And I say broke as if past tense. My brain's breaking even as we speak. I still don't really get what the hell just happened, people. So I don't think Grant's there either. If you can tell us what you think happened, how in the world Vogelsang doesn't go broke here, or at least double up Shemian, let us know in the comments. I don't get what's going on.
We need something a little bit more than he didn't want to risk the chips.
Right.
By the way, we need like a real analytical explanation of why this could possibly happen.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for here. I would love to hear a great explanation of it because that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to see more Vogelsang making weird decisions, this one might not have worked out so well. It happened against the current GOAT, Justin Bonomo. Click right up here to check out a very strange river decision by Christoph.
It's weird because it's almost the opposite of this hand. It's also at the same final table, the same 100K, and instead of making this like massive hero fold, he makes a massive hero call.
Yeah.
It's very surprising, very strange. And actually keep an eye out for a future Vogelsang hand we're going to do, also from this tournament, where he makes another hero call.
Yeah.
He's making very odd decisions all the way through.
He's making odd decisions, and if you want to hear us try to rearrange our brains for about 45 minutes when we do a podcast version of this hand, that's where we get really in-depth, really discuss all of the nuance of every street. You got to check out the breakdown presented by the Poker Guy in your favorite podcast app. I mean, Poker Guys.
Yeah, I mean,
eventually there will just be one Poker Guy once we just kind of get rid of him.
He's going to die off.
Yeah, that's what I was saying for sure.
Just like the nature.
Just like
all
nature.
nature.
Yeah, well said. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel.